Hey, welcome back. If there's any background noise, it's probably my dog or my other half. I have been battling today with stamping. Believe me, I've battled. I have left some of the mistakes in. Some I've sped up and some I've deleted because there were that many. So, I have got a priceless hint later on though, so do keep watching. So I have painted three swatch sticks. The first one with a nude blushed mink from Nail Vanity, a black from Nail Vanity, and a white from Nail Vanity. Um, and I tell you what, the air was positively blue. My windows nearly got put through with stamping polish. Honestly, but all is not lost. I think I've got it. And I've got it not due to me. I cannot take the credit for that. I watched something which I will tell you about later. I haven't kept me painting all the swatching sticks in because you know what that's all about. I just love this colour. That's what I've got on my nails now. It's a beautiful nude. So I wipe all the inhibition layer off, all of them. I haven't top coated. I'm just wiping any inhibition off there, if there is any, so that there's no shiny, slippy surface. There's no top coat on there at all. Each of the swatch sticks have had 2 coats. So I've got my stamping plates. I've got lots and lots of stamping plates, and I am determined to master this art. I am determined. I may be a little grayer at the end of it, but I am determined. So I'm trying to figure out what I'm putting where. And I do so many, and I wipe them off, and I put them on, and I wipe them off, and I'm not quite happy, so I wipe it off, and I start again. But I do end up with 3 finished nails, so stick with it. That's all I can say. It looks like it should be such a simple thing to do, doesn't it? But oh my god. So I'm cleaning my plate with acetone now and a lint-free wipe, and I'm going over my stamping jelly thing with a lint roller. I haven't used that one. As pretty as it is, I can't see through the bottom of it, and I need to know where I'm placing my stamp. So I'm making sure I've got everything in place. I've got my polishes, I'm giving them a good shake, warming them in my hands a bit. Pretty colour, this one. I think that's a Born Pretty stamping polish. I have used proper stamping polishes. I think there's 3 different brands there, all of different consistencies. So a nice sort of plummy, purpley grey colour. Put it on and scrape it off. On with my stamper and onto the nail. Now, I think the mistake I'm making here, because that is really blurry, that looks like it's come out, but it hasn't. All of the individual flowers are smudged, so I then wipe that off. And I think the mistake I made was being too slow from the stamper to the nail and not picking it up correctly from the stamper, which I do a lot of. Did promise you I would leave you mistakes, and hopefully you won't have to go through this. Because, so again, each and every time I've used the stamper, I clean it. I haven't left all the cleaning in because that's monotonous, and this would have been over an hour long, so I've taken it out. But assume I clean it with the roller, the sticky roller. I also clean my stamping plate with acetone. Let's see if this worked this time. And that one worked. I then couple it up with something else and don't like it, so I wipe it off. Now, the polish hadn't covered the whole of the design there, so I had to wipe it off. Make sure when you're putting your polish on to scrape, you're putting it on the full width of whatever the design is, which is what I didn't do. And that picked up beautifully. Pressing that into the nail, and that's a beautiful stamp, but the two don't go together. But that's a successful stamp, excuse me. They don't go together, so I wipe them off. I mean, today was about practicing and trying to nail this this skill. It really is a skill, honestly. I think I'd have rather hand painted them, but I am going to learn how to do this because there's more intricate work you can do with the stamper other than just stamping. I obviously decided to keep the bottom bit and not the top, but I think I end up getting rid of it all anyway. I do. You'll see why. Hope you're having a good Valentine's Day anyway. I've had a lovely day, had some chocolates and a card off my other half, and we're having a nice night in together when I finish doing this. I'm not looking at him because I might be glared at. Now I get really cocky because I've had a couple of successful stamps. I get a bit cocky and I start to go for something a bit more complex in a minute. And this is where, you know, the windows could have been pink and purple. From this point on, I'd say. Although I think this stamp worked, but the gap in between the two was awful. So I tried to fill it in very unsuccessfully. Now the mistake I made here is I stamped it upside down. So excited was I that that stamp had transferred nicely onto my stamping jelly, but I'd stamped it upside down. The line should have been coming down rather than going up on the checky bit. So I try and improvise, and you're going to see the royal mess I make. I mean, really, I could have hand painted something in that gap and it would have been fine. But I got excited and I got cocky and I messed up. Instead of now looking at my stamper and thinking, oh, I don't need all of that, I'll take some of it off. No, I just whack it on the nail and ruin the whole thing. See? So I take it all off. Now some of the mistakes, there we go, I've sped it right up because this was, excuse the terminology, but a ball ache is the only way I can describe this. I must have done this 20 times. Could I get that to transfer? No. That would not stick to my thing. I got one, I stamped it on, and I must have wibbled as I put it on because the top of it was skew-if. Very top part was skew-if. It was going off to the side. Stamped nicely, but then I thought, no, that bit's going that way. So I took it off and started again. And again, and again. I haven't left them all in because it's boring. So I tried this one. This stamping polish is very, very thick. It's very thick. That's a Molylac one. And actually, it worked. It transferred beautifully. The only issue I have is trying to take the extra bits off. With a lint roller, it won't work. It doesn't come off with a lint roller very well. So I'm, desperately trying, but then I'm also aware that I need to transfer this onto the nail quickly. So I transfer it on with faults and try and wipe off the faults with acetone. Which I do. I get there in the end. So at least we have one, so far, successful stamp. Because this particular pattern, I must have tried 20 times. There we go. It's not coming off at the top either because I've moved it down slightly and I didn't wibble. So I then come and clean that up. Clean my nail plate, my stamping plate with acetone. And my scraper. And I clean up the pattern on the nail with some acetone and a lint-free. Oh, I have a pile of those that I've used. I've gone through a whole tub trying to do this today. This is part 1, by the way. There will be other parts because I am going to master this. I am determined. I will not be beaten by this stamping plate. So just slightly off camera, sorry. I am just taking the very corner of the lint-free wipe and tidying up any bits that have transferred that I don't want. Now the thing with this stamping polish is when I went to top coat, it bled at the bottom. So I had to then come in, wipe the top coat off, tidy it up and then re-top coat it. Maybe because I was using a matte top coat, so I thought this would look good in matte. Or I may have been a bit excited and should have let it dry a bit more first. But it's something to be aware of. So I'm trying not to rub my pattern out because I think at this point I would have cried. Not really, but frustration and all that. Just taking that lint-free wipe, dipping it in a little bit of acetone and trying to clear any bits that have come from the other parts of the stamping plate onto the nail. And there we go. Yay, thumbs up! We got one! That wasn't the first time I had to clean my hands up. So let's get rid of that. Look at that mess. You can see how many times I'd attempted that just by looking at that napkin. So you'll see here, I top coat it with matte. And just a little part of that bleeds at the very bottom into the top coat. It's not as crisp, so I'm just wiping my top coat brush just in case any of that has gone in the brush, because we don't want that for future nails. And I go in and wipe the top coat away from around that pattern, wiping the bleed bit away as well. and then I re-top coat where I've wiped it away, obviously. And that goes in the lamp. So onto my blush mink nail. I love this colour. Here I get cocky. I mean, look at the designs I'm picking. So intricate. I mean, really, I know I should have stuck to something a bit more basic because this drove me insane. Tip: make sure your jelly in your stamper is sitting straight, because I noticed that I wasn't picking up straight because there was part of the jelly pushed in more, and I think that was affecting my pickup. So, keep your stamper straight, don't put more pressure on one area over the other. It distorts the picture, so you don't get a clear stamp. And I've missed the middle, so I take it off, clean my stamping plate, brush off any bits from the lint-free wipe, clean my scraper, and try again. Now I thought I'd try the Molylac one because that one really worked, didn't it, for the last one? No, too thick, far too thick for an intricate design. I ended up picking a solid mass up, really. It looked successful at this point, but there's no detail really. When I transferred that onto the nail, it just looked like a solid silver mass. I lost the detail. Cleaning my stamper again. Another tip for you. See, that looks okay, doesn't it? But it's not. All the detail's gone. So I'll clean it off, clean off my stamping plate, clean it off the nail, and try again. Yeah, tip for you: when you're putting your stamping jelly thing down, your silicone stamper, don't put it down on anything with acetone on, because I now can't see through the bottom of my stamper. So I tried a different design. I got fed up with the intricate and went for something a little more simple, using that thick one again because it's a simple design, not so intricate. I wish I'd stopped doing that. Don't think that helps me. And at this point, I had watched a Lauren McBride stamping workshop, and boy, what a game changer, because I feel that I've got it. I feel I understand now. So if you haven't, go and have a look at Lauren McBride's Nailed It workshops. They're fabulous. They're only $12.99, and I think on a Tuesday, if you buy one, you get one free. And they're well worth it. They're so detailed. You see? I've got that. I've got it. Why I didn't start off watching this and then stamping, I don't know. But anyway, we live and learn. You wouldn't be able to see my mistakes, would you, if I hadn't? So. So I'm just taking off the bits I didn't want with the lint roller. This is my dog snoring by me, by the way. And I don't think I end up keeping this design. I can't remember. I can't remember. Oh, yeah. No, I messed it up at the end. Nothing to do with stamping, just to do with placement. I didn't like what I'd done, so I took it all off and started again. You see I'm on a roll now. It's working fine. Thank you, Lauren McBride. You saved my windows. Just out of shot, sorry, but you can see what I've done. And I didn't like it. I didn't like the colour combo, so I took it all off. Started again. But they were all successful stamps, so I wasn't disheartened. I just didn't like the colour combo, it didn't look right. I'm deciding what to do. I considered something intricate again, then decided against it. Just making sure everything's there ready. See, popped it on something with acetone on, and it's melted the bottom of the stamper, so I now can't see through. I'm going to see if I can take the bottom off. You see, but again, perfect transfer and guesswork as to where it's going, but hey, it worked. Just taking that last little bit off there. Didn't want that there, didn't like it, so it's coming off. I'm not affiliated with Lauren McBride, by the way. I'm just in awe of her workshops. I think they're amazing. I've certainly learnt a lot. Cleaning up my stamper, making sure everything's good to go, because they're not gel polish, are they? So they air dry, and you've got to be quick. And again, I did it again. I don't know why I'm trying to clean that when I've just picked my thing up. Anyway, just out of shot. Sorry, but you will see another. There we go. Another successful stamp. Thank goodness. It is important to clean your plate every time, because you don't want congealed set polish stuck into the fine lines there. Bit of fluff, there we go. And again, this is a matte top coat. You see, this isn't bleeding. That was a Born Pretty stamping polish, and that did not bleed when I top coated that. I'm quite chuffed with that. That worked quite well. Into the lamp. Bringing the others out now. And I top coat that with a glossy top, because the The stamping polish had a shimmer to it, so I felt that it needed to be shiny. The other two were matte. Again, Nail Vanity. I love Nail Vanity top coats, they're fab. And you can see a successful stamp. And that looks pretty cool. I'm quite happy with that. After all the blood, sweat and tears, I managed to get 3 nails out. I'm going to let you watch to the end now. Thank you for watching again. I did promise you cock-ups, and that's exactly what you've got. Do subscribe, like, leave me a comment, show me a pic. I'd love to see your work. Thank you. Bye. Happy Valentine's.